Welcome. What you're about to hear is just one story. But every week, there are others. Ones we can't risk airing to everyone. Tales too strange, too dangerous. We lock them in the vault. Only members have the key. Click join to unlock your weekly exclusive episodes just for 60 cents a month. Also, starting this week, the 24/7 Grim Radio will be live. All of your favorite stories airing 24/7. Lastly, today we're about to hit 20,000 subscribers. This is an unbelievable achievement for me. Thanks to all of you from the bottom of my heart. I jolt awake to the sound of scraping metal, a grinding, wailing noise like something's being dragged across the side of my truck. My hands grip the steering wheel, though I'm not driving, and sweat drenches my shirt despite the cab's air conditioning blasting at full power. It's that damn dream again. In it, I'm always driving down a stretch of Highway 90, somewhere west of Del Rio. The Texas sun beats down mercilessly, creating heat shimmers on the asphalt that dance like ghosts. My cargo, a plain white shipping container, sits heavy behind me. No markings except a series of numbers and a small insignia I can never quite remember when I wake up. Then comes the scraping, like claws trying to get in. I check my watch, 3:47 a.m. The dim light of the truck stop's neon sign filters through my windshield, casting everything in a sickly orange glow. Outside, the vast emptiness of West Texas stretches into darkness, broken only by the occasional headlights on I-10. My name is Ray Mendoza. 4 months ago, I was hauling produce from California to Florida, just another long-haul trucker with too many miles and not enough sleep. Then my sister Lucia got sick, and I found myself back in Terlingua, the place I swore I'd never return to. It's a forgotten speck of dust 30 minutes from the Mexican border. Technically a ghost town, though some folks still live there, including my sister. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4 when they found it. She needed someone, and I was all she had left. The medical bills were crushing her. My savings disappeared like morning dew in the desert. That's when Mike Thornton, an old buddy from high school who'd made it onto the Brewster County Sheriff's Department, mentioned a job opportunity. Government contract, he'd said over beers at the Starlight Theater, the only real restaurant in Terlingua. The adobe walls were covered in dollar bills, with messages scrawled on them, a tradition dating back decades. They need experienced drivers. Pay is triple what you're making now. I remember laughing. What government agency gives a damn about Terlingua? Mike didn't laugh back. Department of Energy. They've got some research facility out past Alpine. Something to do with the observatory in Fort Davis, I think. I should have asked more questions. Should have wondered why they needed drivers based in our middle-of-nowhere town rather than from Alpine or Marfa. Should have questioned why the pay was so damn good. But Lucia's next round of treatment was coming up, and the caseworker had made it clear that without insurance, each session would cost more than I made in a month. So I signed the papers at a temporary office set up in the Big Bend Motor Inn. The recruiter was a thin woman named Dr. Abernathy, with a crisp pantsuit that looked wildly out of place among the dusty, sun-bleached surroundings of Terlingua. She wore the kind of government ID badge that hangs around your neck, but she kept it flipped around so I couldn't read it. "Your background check came back clean, Mr. Mendoza," she said, sliding the contract across the desk. "Just sign here, initial here, and here." The last page held a list of rules, 10 of them typed in plain black text. "These must be followed without exception," she said, her face expressionless. "Breaking any of these rules will result in immediate termination of your contract." I skimmed them, thinking they were standard security protocols. Some seemed odd, but I figured it was typical government bureaucracy, I needed the money, and part of me was just relieved to have a reason to be away from my sister's deteriorating condition for hours at a time. I signed my name. Now, as I stare into the darkness outside my truck at the Pilot Travel Center just off I-10, I wonder how many other drivers signed those papers without really reading them. How many others wake up from dreams where something is trying to get into their cab. Tomorrow I pick up another container. I've been doing this job for 3 months now. Long enough to know that there's nothing standard about what I'm hauling. And long enough to know that the rules are keeping me alive. The fluorescent lights of the Chevron Mini Mart flicker as I grab a coffee. It's 5:30 a.m., and the cashier, Doris, according to her name tag, doesn't even look up from her crossword puzzle when I place my money on the counter. There's something comforting about her indifference. "Heading out early?" she finally asks, sliding my change across the counter. Always do. I pocket the coins. Best to beat the heat. West Texas mornings carry a chill that vanishes by 9 a.m., replaced by the kind of heat that makes the horizon wobble. I need to be halfway to the pickup point by then. Back in my Peterbilt 389, paid off last year, one of the few things I'm proud of, I pull out my phone and check the encrypted app they installed during my orientation. Today's assignment: pickup at Fort Stockton, delivery to a facility 10 miles north of Valentine. The app says the cargo requires enhanced security protocols. It always does. I keep the list of rules in the glove compartment, written on Department of Energy letterhead, though I've memorized them by now. I unfold the paper, reading them again by force of habit. Never open the container under any circumstances. Never stop the vehicle between sunset and sunrise, except at designated checkpoints. If you experience mechanical failure, use the emergency phone only. Do not attempt repairs yourself. No unauthorized passengers allowed in the vehicle during transport. If you notice unusual sounds emanating from the container, play the provided audio file through the external speakers at maximum volume. Avoid driving through residential areas whenever possible. If unmarked vehicles attempt to force you to stop, call the emergency number immediately. Do not stop. If you see any wildlife on or near the road exhibiting unusual behavior, do not hit them. Stop completely and wait. Never exceed 65 miles per hour, even on highways with higher speed limits. If you begin to experience unusual symptoms, nausea, headaches, visual disturbances, or auditory hallucinations, stop immediately at the next checkpoint for decontamination. I fold the paper carefully and return it to the glove compartment. The rules seemed bizarre when I first read them. Paranoid government nonsense, I figured. Then came my third run. I was hauling from Fort Bliss to a facility somewhere near Marathon. It was nearly midnight, and I was making good time on Highway 90. The road was empty, cutting through endless darkness with only my headlights carving a path. Then I saw them. Coyotes. Must have been 20 or more, standing in perfect formation across the highway. Rule number 8. If you see any wildlife on or near the road exhibiting unusual behavior, do not hit them. Stop completely and wait. I slowed to a stop about 50 yards away. Their eyes caught my headlights, reflecting back like dozens of small flames. But they didn't move, just stared. For 20 minutes I sat there, engine idling, gripped tight on the wheel. They never approached, never scattered. Then, as if responding to some signal I couldn't perceive, they turned in unison and trotted into the darkness. I didn't tell Lucia about it when I got home. She had enough nightmares of her own. The sun is beginning to peek over the horizon as I merge onto Interstate 10 heading east. The morning light paints the scrubland in gold and amber hues. Most people see nothing but emptiness out here, but growing up in Terlingua, I learned to appreciate the subtle beauty of the desert, the way the light changes, the resilience of life that survives here. My phone rings. It's Mike. "You on the road?" he asks without preamble. "Heading to Fort Stockton for a pickup. What's up?" There's a pause on the line. "Just wanted to check in. Been some strange reports lately. Highway Patrol found an abandoned semi on 118 yesterday." My stomach tightens. Government truck? Not sure. No markings, no paperwork. Driver's missing. He lowers his voice. "Ray, you know I vouched for you with these people, right? You're being careful?" I think about rule number 5, about the audio file on my phone that I've never had to use. I follow the rules, Mike. "Good." He sounds relieved. "There's talk about expanding operations, more trucks, more routes. They're bringing in drivers from El Paso, even San Antonio." "Why?" "There's not much out here except—" "I don't ask questions," Mike cuts me off, "and neither should you." After we hang up, I can't shake a sense of unease. I check my mirrors more often than usual, scanning the empty highway behind me. The dusty landscape of Brewster County rolls by, familiar and alien at the same time. 2 hours later, I reach Fort Stockton. The GPS directs me not to the main part of town, but to a fenced compound off Interstate 10, hidden behind a ridge. A sign reads, "Department of Energy, authorized personnel only." 2 men in tactical gear guard the entrance. They don't wear typical security uniforms, no company logos, no name tags. I pull up to the gate and roll down my window. One guard approaches while the other keeps his hand near his holstered weapon. "ID," the first guard says. I hand over my special clearance card. He scans it with a handheld device, then hands it back. Proceed to loading bay 4. No phones beyond this point. I power down my phone as instructed, feeling that familiar mix of curiosity and dread. Whatever I'm hauling today, it's classified enough to warrant armed guards and signal blackouts. The loading bay is a concrete structure built into the hillside. As I back my semi up to the bay, I notice something I haven't seen before. A radiation symbol on the side of the building. Dr. Abernathy emerges from a door, clipboard in hand, looking just as out of place here as she did in Terlingua. "Mr. Mendoza," she nods. "Today's cargo is priority level Alpha. You'll have an escort to the checkpoint at Alpine, then you're on your own to Valentine." "What am I carrying?" I ask, though I know she won't tell me. She almost smiles. "Just another container, Mr. Mendoza. Nothing to worry about." But as the loading doors open and I glimpse the white container being moved by men in hazmat suits, I know that's a lie. Nothing to worry about doesn't need 10 rules to keep it contained. The loading process takes longer than usual. Men in white hazmat suits secure the container to my trailer with unusual care, checking and double-checking the locks. I stay in my cab as instructed, watching through my mirrors. The container looks identical to the others I've hauled. Standard white shipping container, no special markings except for the barcode and that small insignia I've come to recognize, a stylized hourglass inside a circle. I notice Dr. Abernathy speaking with another woman in a dark suit who keeps glancing at my truck. They're too far away for me to hear anything, but their body language suggests disagreement. The woman points at me, then at her watch. Dr. Abernathy shakes her head. Finally, Dr. Abernathy approaches my window. "The escort will take you to the Alpine checkpoint," she says, handing me a sealed envelope. "Open this only if the cargo exhibits signs of activity." "Activity?" I repeat, taking the envelope. It's heavier than paper should be. "You know the rules, Mr. Mendoza. Rule 5 applies particularly to this shipment." Her normally composed face shows a flash of something. Concern. Maybe fear. "The audio file has been updated. Make sure your phone is fully charged." I nod, tucking the envelope into my jacket pocket. Is there something different about this container? She adjusts her glasses. Just follow the rules. All of them. A black SUV with tinted windows pulls up in front of my truck. My escort, I assume. Dr. Abernathy steps back. One more thing, she adds. Try to reach Valentine before dark. The drive east on Interstate 10 is uneventful. The escort vehicle maintains a constant distance of about 50 yards ahead of me, never signaling or changing lanes unnecessarily. We pass through the small town of Fort Davis, where the McDonald's sign and the Chevron station's price board seem almost jarringly normal compared to the strangeness of my situation. My mind drifts to Lucia. She had her good days and bad days. Yesterday had been a good one. She'd even felt well enough to sit on her porch swing and watch the sun set over the Chisos Mountains. We didn't talk about her illness. Instead, she told stories about our childhood in Terlingua, before our parents died, before I left. Remember when Dad used to take us stargazing at the old mining site? She'd asked. He'd point out Orion's belt and tell us it was really 3 cowboys riding across the sky. I smiled at the memory. And you were convinced that the Marfa lights were aliens trying to contact us. Still am, she said with a laugh that turned into a cough. The escort vehicle's brake lights snapped me back to the present. We're approaching Alpine, where Highway 118 branches south toward the Big Bend. The SUV signals, directing me to follow it off the interstate onto a service road that winds behind a cluster of warehouses. The Alpine checkpoint is less imposing than I expected, just a small prefab building with a chain-link fence and a boom gate. 2 guards step out as the escort vehicle stops. One approaches my truck while the other speaks to the driver of the SUV. Cargo manifest, the guard says when I roll down my window. He's young, probably ex-military, from his haircut and stance. I hand him the electronic tablet with the shipping information. He scans it, then peers up at me. You're making good time. Continue on 118 south, then take 90 west at Marfa. You should reach Valentine by 1700 hours. What's in Valentine? I ask, trying to sound casual. I've driven through 100 times. Nothing there but a post office and a few houses. The guard hands back the tablet. Your destination is north of Valentine. Just follow the GPS coordinates in your system. The escort SUV pulls away without any acknowledgement, heading back toward the interstate. I'm on my own now. Highway 118 south from Alpine cuts through some of the most desolate and beautiful country in Texas. The Davis Mountains rise to the west, while to the east, the land opens up into vast stretches of desert scrub. Traffic is almost non-existent. I pass maybe 1 vehicle every 15 minutes. It's when I reach the halfway point to Marfa that I first notice something off. A vibration. Subtle at first, like driving over a rough patch of road. But the asphalt is smooth, recently repaved. The vibration is coming from behind me, from the container. I check my mirrors. Nothing visible has changed, but I can feel it through my seat, through the steering wheel. A rhythmic tremor. My hand moves to my pocket, feeling the outline of Dr. Abernathy's envelope. Not yet, I tell myself. It could be nothing. An imbalanced load, a loose fastener. The vibrations stop as suddenly as they began. I release a breath I didn't realize I was holding. By the time I reach Marfa, it's mid-afternoon. The small desert town is a strange mix of old Texas and new art scene. Ranch hands and hipsters coexisting in an unlikely harmony. I turn west onto Highway 90, passing the famous Prada Marfa art installation. A fake Prada storefront in the middle of nowhere that always struck me as pretentious. 20 miles outside of Marfa, my radio, which has been playing classic country, suddenly fills with static. I fiddle with the dial, but every station is the same. white noise punctuated by bursts of something that might be words, but in no language I recognize. The vibrations from the container start again, stronger this time. I can hear it now, a faint but persistent thudding, like something inside is moving. Rule number 5. If you notice unusual sounds emanating from the container, play the provided audio file through the external speakers at maximum volume. I reach for my phone, pulling up the secure app. The updated audio file is there, labeled simply countermeasure. My finger hovers over it. The thudding intensifies. Thump, thump, pause, thump, thump, thump. I press play and connect my phone to the external PA system installed during my orientation. For a moment, nothing happens. Then it begins, a low humming tone that gradually shifts in pitch and pattern. It doesn't sound like music or speech, more like the modulated buzz of machinery or insects. The effect is immediate. The vibrations stop. The radio clears, returning to Waylon Jennings mid-chorus. I exhale slowly, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. What the hell am I carrying? The sun is lower in the sky by the time I approach Valentine. It's barely a town, population 87 last I knew, though it swells once a year when thousands come for the Valentine's Day postal cancellation, sending cards from the Valentine post office for the novelty of the postmark. My GPS directs me north on a county road I've never taken before. The pavement ends after 3 miles, transitioning to gravel, then to hard-packed dirt. The landscape changes too. More rocky outcroppings, fewer ranches, no power lines, no cell towers. I check the time, 5:23 p.m. The sun will set in less than an hour. Dr. Abernathy's warning echoes in my mind. Try to reach Valentine before dark. Rule number 2. Never stop the vehicle between sunset and sunrise, except at designated checkpoints. I press down slightly on the accelerator, pushing just below the 65-mile-per-hour limit outlined in rule number 9. The truck responds, kicking up dust behind me. The facility appears without warning, a complex of low buildings surrounded by high fences, topped with razor wire. No signs, no flags, nothing to indicate who operates it. Just concrete barriers and what look like military-grade security measures. A guard booth blocks the entrance. As I slow to a stop, I notice 2 things simultaneously. First, the guards are wearing what appear to be modified hazmat suits with tactical gear over them. Second, the sun is touching the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert. I'm cutting it close. The guard approaches, his face obscured by a reflective visor. "Cargo inspection," he says, his voice muffled by his mask. "Pull forward to the decontamination chamber." I follow his instructions, driving through a gate that opens automatically and into a massive hangar-like structure. The doors close behind me with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, red warning lights pulse along the walls. A mechanical voice announces, "Decontamination sequence initiating. Please remain in vehicle." Fine mist sprays down from ceiling nozzles, covering my truck and the container. Through my side mirror, I see figures in full protective gear approaching the back of my trailer. One of them is speaking into a handheld device. Even through the protective mask, I can see his expression change. He gestures urgently to the others, who step back from the container. Something's wrong. The radio bursts to life again, static in those strange, almost words. The envelope in my pocket suddenly feels hot against my chest. The guard rushes to my window. "How long has it been active?" he demands. "About an hour," I admit. "On and off." The audio file stopped it. He barks something into his radio, then turns back to me. "When did you last check your dosimeter?" "My what?" His visor reflects my confused expression. "They didn't give you a radiation badge?" Before I can answer, an alarm begins to wail. The mechanical voice returns, now urgent. Containment breach detected. Emergency protocols activated. The guard backs away from my truck. Stay in your vehicle, he orders. Lock the doors. Do not exit until instructed. Through my mirrors, I watch the team scramble away from my container. One of them is operating some kind of scanner, pointing it at the trailer. The vibrations start again, violent enough now to shake my entire truck. And for the first time, I wonder if I'll be making it back to Terlingua tonight. Red emergency lights pulse through the hangar, casting everything in a crimson glow that makes my palms sweat. Outside my cab, chaos unfolds with eerie efficiency. Personnel in hazmat suits move with practiced precision, while handheld radios crackle with coded communications. I remain frozen in my seat, knuckles white on the steering wheel as the truck continues to vibrate beneath me. The envelope in my pocket feels like it's burning through my shirt. I pull it out, tearing open the seal. Inside is not paper, but a thin metallic disc about the size of a poker chip, etched with concentric circles and what look like coordinates. There's also a note in Dr. Abernathy's precise handwriting. Place on dashboard if containment measures fail. The vibrations intensify, rattling my teeth. I place the disc on my dashboard, unsure what to expect. Nothing happens immediately, but after a few seconds, the metal begins to warm, then glow with a faint blue light. The vibrations from the container decrease, not stopping entirely, but becoming more rhythmic, almost regulated. A sharp tap on my window makes me jump. A suited figure gestures for me to roll it down. I hesitate, then comply, just an inch. Driver Mendoza? The voice is distorted through the mask's filter, but I recognize it as a woman's. I'm Dr. Reyes, containment specialist. Did Dr. Abernathy give you a stabilization disc? I point to the dashboard where the metal chip glows. Good. She sounds relieved. Keep it there. We're bringing in a secondary containment shell, but we need to move your vehicle first. Follow the guide vehicles to Bay 7. As if on cue, 2 small utility vehicles with flashing yellow lights appear before me. The massive hangar doors ahead slide open, revealing another section of the facility, larger and more heavily fortified. I start my engine, which feels wrong somehow, like waking a sleeping beast. One more thing, Dr. Reyes says before stepping back. If you start to taste metal or feel nauseous, tell someone immediately. The interior of the facility reminds me of an aircraft hangar, but with additional security features. Airlocks between sections, decontamination showers visible through windows, and personnel in various levels of protective gear. The yellow guide vehicles lead me to a massive bay where a crane system looms overhead. Before I can fully stop, teams swarm my trailer. They attach devices to the container, sensors or stabilizers, maybe both. No one approaches my cab. I'm instructed via handheld radio to turn off my engine and remain inside. Through my mirrors, I watch as they connect thick cables to the top of the container. The crane above begins to operate, but instead of lifting the container, it lowers what looks like a second larger container, a shell that will enclose mine completely. My phone chirps with an incoming call. Unknown number. I answer hesitantly. Mr. Mendoza. It's Dr. Abernathy. I see the stabilization disc is functioning. How do you... I start, then notice a small camera mounted in the corner of the bay, its red light blinking. What's happening? A minor containment issue. Nothing unexpected for a Type 3 anomaly. She speaks with clinical detachment, but I can hear tension underneath. You performed correctly by using the audio deterrent. Has the envelope been useful? The disc is doing something, I say, watching as the blue glow pulses in time with the now gentler vibrations from the container. What exactly am I carrying, Dr. Abernathy? There's a pause. That's classified, of course. It's radioactive, isn't it? I press. One of the guards mentioned a dosimeter. Radiation is only a secondary effect, she says after another pause. Mr. Mendoza, once the containment team finishes their work, you'll be debriefed and cleared to return to Terlingua. Your payment for this delivery will include a hazard bonus. My laugh is bitter. Hazard bonus. That would have been nice to know beforehand. Your contract covers unspecified risks, disqualifies. Her voice softens slightly. How is your sister? The question catches me off guard. Why do you care? We selected you partially because of your situation, Mr. Mendoza. Individuals with strong personal motivations tend to follow rules more diligently. The realization hits me like a physical blow. You're using her illness to ensure my compliance. My voice rises. Does she even qualify for that experimental treatment program you mentioned? Or was that just another manipulation? The treatment is real, Mr. Mendoza, and quite promising. Your sister is scheduled to begin next week, assuming today's situation resolves favorably. The threat is clear, wrapped in clinical language, but unmistakable. I swallow my anger. The containment team is signaling completion. Dr. Abernathy continues. You'll be escorted to decontamination, then to debriefing. Please leave the stabilization disc in your vehicle. She hangs up before I can respond. Outside, the larger shell has completely enclosed my container. Teams of technicians are securing it with bolts the size of my forearm. Whatever's inside, they're making damn sure it stays there. A guard approaches my door and signals for me to exit the vehicle. I step down from the cab, my legs unexpectedly shaky. The air smells like ozone and something else. Something metallic and unfamiliar. This way, the guard says, leading me toward a side door marked Personnel Decontamination. I look back at my truck, now surrounded by equipment and technicians. The stabilization disc continues to glow on my dashboard, a small blue star in the crimson emergency lighting. The decontamination process is thorough and humiliating. I'm instructed to strip completely, place my clothes in a sealed container, and proceed through a series of showers and scanning stations. The water in the first shower has a chemical smell that burns my nostrils. The second is ice cold and leaves my skin tingling. After drying off with paper towels, I'm given a set of scrubs and plastic slippers. A stern-faced technician hands me a small device that looks like a pager. Wear this at all times while in the facility, he instructs. If it beeps, inform personnel immediately. My dosimeter, I assume. Better late than never. They lead me to what they call a clean room. Sterile white walls, a metal table, 2 chairs. The room reminds me of police interrogation rooms from TV shows, complete with what's obviously a 2-way mirror along one wall. I sit and wait, unconsciously rubbing my sternum where my chest hair has been partially removed in a rectangular patch. I don't remember that happening during decontamination. Dr. Reyes enters after about 20 minutes, now without her hazmat suit, but wearing a lab coat and surgical mask. She carries a tablet and a folder. Mr. Mendoza, she says, sitting opposite me. First, I want to assure you that your exposure levels are within acceptable parameters. Acceptable parameters, I repeat. What does that mean exactly? Less than 0.4 rems, well below the annual limit for radiation workers. She looks at her tablet. However, we did detect some anomalous energy signatures that require monitoring. Anomalous energy signatures, I echo again, feeling like a parrot. Is that why you shaved part of my chest? She looks surprised. That was for the cardiac monitor. She taps her tablet, and I feel a slight warming sensation on my chest. We're tracking your heart rhythm for irregularities that might indicate exposure effects. Effects from what? I demand, fatigue and fear making my voice sharper than intended. I've been hauling these containers for 3 months without knowing what's inside them. I think I deserve some answers. Dr. Reyes studies me for a moment, then nods slightly. You're transporting quantum isolation units containing what we classify as temporal anomalies, objects or entities that don't fully conform to normal space-time constraints. I stare at her. Are you saying I'm hauling time machines? No, nothing that coherent. She seems to choose her words carefully. More like fragments of alternative probability states that occasionally attempt to re-establish connection with their origin points. My head swims with technical jargon that sounds like science fiction. So, when the container was vibrating, the anomaly was attempting to resynchronize with its native timeline. The stabilization disk creates a localized field that prevents full phase transition. She sees my confusion and sighs. Think of it like keeping oil and water separated in an emulsion. Our job is to prevent the separation from completing. And if it does complete? Her expression grows grave. The results vary from merely disruptive to potentially catastrophic, depending on the nature of the specific anomaly. Today's specimen was Category 3. Localized effects only. Localized effects like what? Like retroactive alterations to causal chains within a limited radius. She must see that I'm still lost because she adds, small changes to the recent past within about 500 yards, nothing major, objects moving slightly, minor injuries healing faster or slower than they should, possibly brief memory inconsistencies. The implications slowly dawn on me. You're saying these things can change reality? Change the past? In very limited ways, yes. That's why they're valuable for research. She closes her tablet. Mr. Mendoza, I understand this is concerning, but I assure you that the containment protocols, including the rules you've been following, are designed to minimize risks. I think about the coyotes on the highway, standing in perfect formation. About the radio turning to static, and voices that weren't quite language. About Dr. Abernathy's threat regarding my sister's treatment. How many drivers have you lost? I ask suddenly. Dr. Reyes blinks. Excuse me? Mike, Sheriff's Deputy Thornton, mentioned a truck found abandoned. How many others have there been? She doesn't answer immediately, which is answer enough. The position carries certain risks, she finally says. That's reflected in the compensation. Am I going to be allowed to leave? Of course. She seems almost offended. After a 24-hour observation period and final clearance for medical, it's standard procedure after any containment event. My heart sinks. I need to call my sister. She'll worry if I don't come home tonight. That's been taken care of. Deputy Thornton will inform her that you're delayed due to truck maintenance issues. Dr. Reyes stands. A guard will escort you to the overnight quarters. There's a cafeteria if you're hungry, though I recommend avoiding the meatloaf. The attempt at normalcy, a joke about cafeteria food, feels surreal after everything that's happened. As she turns to leave, a final question occurs to me. Dr. Reyes, I call after her, the rules they gave us, are they really keeping us safe, or are they just keeping your experiments contained? She pauses at the door. Mr. Mendoza. In this line of work, those are frequently the same thing. As the door closes behind her, I look down at the dosimeter clipped to my scrubs. The display shows all zeros, which should be reassuring, but as I stare at it, for just a split second, I could swear the zeros flicker and change to different numbers, then back again so quickly I might have imagined it. I close my eyes and try to convince myself that everything will be normal in the morning. I don't believe it for a second. The overnight quarters are utilitarian, reminiscent of budget hotel rooms, but with fewer amenities and more cameras. A twin bed with crisp white sheets, a small desk, a bathroom with a shower stall, no windows, no clock. The only personal touch is my wallet and phone placed neatly on the desk. I check my phone. No signal, as expected. The screen shows 9:43 p.m., though without windows, I've lost my sense of time. I wonder if that's deliberate. Despite my exhaustion, sleep eludes me. Each time I close my eyes, I see the container vibrating, hear the alarm wailing. Eventually, I give up and head for the cafeteria Dr. Ray has mentioned. The facility is eerily quiet at night. My escort, a silent guard who looks barely old enough to drink, leads me through corridors where the overhead lights dim and brighten as we pass, like the building itself is watching us. We pass several closed doors marked with symbols I don't recognize, each with keycard access panels glowing red. The cafeteria is deserted except for two technicians having coffee in the corner. They look up when I enter, their conversation stopping abruptly. My guard takes a position by the door as I survey the food options in a refrigerated case. Prepackaged sandwiches, fruit cups, yogurt. I grab a turkey sandwich and a bottle of water. The technicians whisper to each other, occasionally glancing my way. I can't hear what they're saying, but their body language speaks of unease. One of them, a lanky man with a goatee, keeps checking a device similar to my dosimeter. I sit at a table as far from them as possible. The sandwich tastes like nothing, but I force myself to eat. Halfway through, the technicians get up to leave. As they pass my table, the one with the goatee hesitates. "You're the driver from today," he says. Not a question. I nod. He looks like he wants to say something else, but glances at my guard and thinks better of it. His colleague tugs at his arm, and they continue toward the exit. Just before leaving, the goatee technician turns back and taps his temple twice, then exits. The gesture means nothing to me. Back in my room, I lie awake in the dark, mind racing. I think about Lucia waiting at home, about the coyotes on the highway, about Dr. Abernathy's calculated manipulation. Most of all, I think about what Dr. Ray has said. Fragments of alternative probability, states that occasionally attempt to reestablish connection with their origin points. I try to translate the scientific jargon into something I can understand. Things from other timelines. Things trying to get back home. Things that can change reality around them. I must have dozed off eventually, because I wake to a sharp knock on my door. The digital clock on my phone reads 6:17 a.m. A different guard waits outside, older, with a permanent scowl etched into his weather-beaten face. "Medical evaluation in 10 minutes, he says gruffly. "Bathroom's right there. Be quick." The medical bay looks more like a research lab than a hospital. Machines I don't recognize line the walls, their displays showing waveforms and numbers that mean nothing to me. A middle-aged man in a white coat introduces himself as Dr. Patel and instructs me to sit on an examination table. "Any symptoms overnight?" he asks, while checking the rectangular patch on my chest. "Headaches, disorientation, unusual dreams." "No," I lie. I had dreamed vividly of the container opening and something reaching for me, something that looked like a hand but moved like smoke. Dr. Patel hummed skeptically as if he knows I'm not being truthful. He takes blood samples, checks my vitals, and passes a handheld scanner over my body, focusing particularly on my head and chest. "Your readings are interesting," he says finally, studying his tablet. Minor temporal desynchronization in the hippocampus, but within acceptable parameters. What does that mean? I ask, a chill running through me. It means you were exposed to the anomaly's field effects, but not severely enough to cause concern. He taps something on his tablet. You may experience minor memory fluctuations for a few days. Déjà vu, brief disorientation. Nothing serious. Nothing serious, I repeat. Like the acceptable parameters of radiation I was exposed to. Dr. Patel looks up at me, his expression softening slightly. Mr. Mendoza, I understand your concern. But I assure you, we monitor our personnel carefully. The effects are temporary. What about long-term exposure? I've been doing these runs for 3 months. He hesitates. Cumulative effects are still being studied, but we haven't observed any permanent alterations in staff with similar exposure levels. The careful phrasing doesn't escape me. Haven't observed could mean many things. After the examination, I'm led to a different room where Dr. Abernathy waits with a folder and what looks like a contract. Mr. Mendoza, she says, gesturing for me to sit. I'm pleased to report that you've been cleared to return to your regular duties, after signing your post-incident confidentiality agreement, of course. I remain standing. I want to know more about these temporal anomalies before I sign anything else. Her expression doesn't change. That information is classified beyond your clearance level. I'm driving them around Texas. I think I deserve to know what they are and what they can do. Dr. Abernathy sighs, removing her glasses and cleaning them methodically with a small cloth. The gesture seems calculated to buy time. The anomalies are artifacts recovered from various sites throughout the Southwest, she finally says. Objects, sometimes entities, that exhibit properties inconsistent with our understanding of physics. Some appear to originate from elsewhere. From other timelines, I say, recalling Dr. Rea's explanation. That's one theory, yes. She replaces her glasses. What matters for your role is simply that they're transported safely, following all protocols. And the rules? They seem oddly specific for general safety guidelines. She nods. Each rule addresses a specific risk factor identified through previous incidents. The pause is slight but noticeable. Rule 8, for example, the wildlife behavior. Some anomalies affect local fauna first, creating unusual behavioral patterns. It's an early warning sign of field leakage. For the first time, I feel like she's being straightforward. And Rule 5? The audio file ? Certain frequency patterns disrupt the resonance that occurs when an anomaly attempts to phase shift. The sound stabilizes it. She slides the contract toward me again. Mr. Mendoza, I understand you have questions, but I need your signature before you can be released. I think about refusing, demanding more answers, but I think of Lucia, waiting at home, needing her treatment. What choice do I really have? I sign the papers. Excellent. Dr. Abernathy gathers the documents. Your truck has been decontaminated and is ready for your return journey. You'll be taking a different route back. Highway 90 east of Van Horn, then south. The container has been secured with a secondary transport team. So, I'm driving back empty? Yes. You'll receive your next assignment in 3 days. She hands me an envelope. Your compensation for this delivery, including the hazard bonus. There's also information about your sister's treatment schedule. The first session is next Tuesday at the research hospital in El Paso. I take the envelope without looking inside. Will all my assignments be like this one? Carrying these anomalies? Your clearance has been upgraded after yesterday's incident. Future assignments will be more controlled. She stands, signaling the end of our conversation. A guard will escort you to your vehicle. The walk back through the facility feels longer than before. I notice details I missed earlier. The thickness of the internal doors, the subtle hum that permeates every corridor, the way certain areas require multiple security checks, while others have none. My truck sits in a different bay than where I left it, gleaming under bright lights like it's just been washed. It looks the same, but something feels off about it. Like when someone has been in your home and moved things slightly. The guard hands me my keys. "Drive safe," he says, the first words he's spoken to me. As I climb into the cab, I notice the stabilization disc is gone from the dashboard. In its place is a small black box with a single red button behind a clear protective cover. There's no label, no instructions. I start the engine, which rumbles to life normally. The GPS screen blinks on, showing my route back to Terlingua, highlighted in blue. A new icon appears in the corner, a stylized hourglass that matches the insignia on the containers. As the hangar doors open, revealing the harsh morning sunlight of the West Texas desert, I can't shake the feeling that something fundamental has changed. The rules haven't changed. The job hasn't changed. But something about me has. I check my mirrors as I pull out of the facility. In the side mirror, I catch a glimpse of Dr. Abernathy watching from a window, her face expressionless. Next to her stands a figure I don't recognize. Tall, unnaturally still, its features obscured by shadow. The figure raises its hand in what might be a wave. I look again, but they're both gone. The desert highway stretches before me, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the vastness of West Texas. I drive east on Highway 90 as instructed, the morning sun at my back casting long shadows ahead of my truck. The landscape feels both familiar and strange. The same mountains and scrubland I've known all my life, yet somehow altered, as if I'm seeing them through a slightly distorted lens. My fingers drum the steering wheel nervously as I pass through Van Horn, a dusty crossroads town where I-10 and Highway 90 intersect. The truck stop where I usually get coffee appears on my right, but I drive past without stopping. Something tells me I should get home as quickly as possible. The black box on my dashboard draws my attention like a magnet. No instructions, just a red button behind a protective cover. Emergency equipment, maybe? Or something to do with the temporal anomalies I've been hauling? I resist the urge to touch it. My phone chirps with a text message, the first since leaving the facility. It's from Lucia. "Where are you?" Mike said, "Mechanical problems. Call me." I pull over at the next wide shoulder, suddenly needing to hear my sister's voice. The call connects after 2 rings. "Ray? You okay?" Her voice sounds stronger than it has in weeks. "Yeah, just got delayed. Truck issues." The lie tastes bitter. "I'm on my way back now. Should be home in a few hours." "You sound strange." Lucia has always been perceptive. Did something happen? I hesitate. I'm sure what I can say, what I should say. The confidentiality agreement I signed flashes in my mind. "Just tired," I tell her. "Long haul. How are you feeling today?" "Better, actually." There's a note of surprise in her voice. "Dr. Kimball called this morning. Said I've been accepted into some special treatment program at the research hospital in El Paso. Starts next week. Did you know about this?" "I heard something about it," I say carefully. "That's great news." "Yeah, but it's weird. I didn't apply for any program." I can hear the frown in her voice. And when I asked how much it would cost, the doctor said everything was covered. "Ray, what's going on?" My knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. It's probably just one of those clinical trials. For new treatments. Maybe. She doesn't sound convinced. Anyway, there's someone here to see you. Says his name is Carlos. Claims he's a driver, too. My blood runs cold. I don't know any Carlos. Lucia, don't. He's just sitting on the porch. Seems nice enough. Said he'd wait for you to get back. She lowers her voice. He's been asking about your routes. Lucia, listen to me. I try to keep the panic from my voice. Tell him I've been delayed and won't be back until tomorrow. Then lock the doors and call Mike. Right now. Ray, what? Just do it, please. I'll explain later. After she hangs up, I sit motionless, my mind racing. Another driver asking about my routes? It could be innocent, maybe a new hire looking for advice. But the timing, right after the incident at the facility. I call Mike, but it goes straight to voicemail. I leave a message asking him to check on Lucia, then pull back onto the highway, pushing my truck faster than is strictly safe on these winding desert roads. The irony doesn't escape me. I'm breaking rule number 9 by exceeding 65 miles per hour, the one rule I never thought I'd need to break. The GPS continues to direct me along Highway 90, but as I approach Sierra Blanca, a thought occurs to me. If someone is waiting at my house, I need to get home fast. I know a shortcut, a county road that cuts south through the Davis Mountains Ranch area before connecting to 118. It will save me at least an hour. I turn off the highway onto Ranch Road 3601. Almost immediately, my truck's GPS screen flashes a warning, deviating from approved route. The hourglass icon in the corner turns from blue to pulsing red. Override, I say aloud, though I know it's just a navigation system, not an AI. I press the button to cancel the route guidance. The screen goes dark for a second, then returns with the same route highlighted, the warning still flashing. A new message appears. Return to approved route. Violation of operational protocol. What the hell? I mutter, jabbing at the screen to turn it off. It remains stubbornly on, the warning now accompanied by a soft but persistent beeping. The black box on my dashboard suddenly seems more ominous. Is it related to the navigation system? Is someone tracking my movements? I consider turning around, following the approved route. But the thought of Lucia with this stranger, this Carlos, pushes me forward. I've driven these back roads all my life. I don't need GPS. The beeping increases in tempo as I continue south. The landscape grows more rugged, the road narrowing as it winds through rocky hills. It's beautiful country, especially in the golden light of late afternoon, but I barely notice, focused on getting home as quickly as possible. 20 minutes into the shortcut, the beeping stops abruptly. The GPS screen flickers, then displays a different message. Proximity alert. Anomalous zone detected. My hands tighten on the wheel. Dr. Abernathy's words echo in my mind. Each rule addresses a specific risk factor identified through previous incidents. Rule number 2. Never stop the vehicle between sunset and sunrise, except at designated checkpoints. Rule number 6. Avoid driving through residential areas whenever possible. Was there a reason they wanted me on the main highway? Is this area contaminated somehow? I glance at the sun, now sinking toward the horizon. I have maybe an hour of daylight left. The road ahead curves around a hillside, then disappears from view. I've driven this way before, but suddenly the familiar route feels threatening. As I round the curve, I slam on the brakes. The road ahead is blocked, not by a rock slide or construction, but by a line of vehicles. Old vehicles, a Studebaker pickup, a Hudson Hornet, a Bel Air station wagon. Cars from the 1950s, perfectly preserved, parked side by side across the road. My truck skids to a stop about 30 yards away. The vehicles gleam in the late afternoon sun, their chrome unblemished paint perfect, Too perfect. No one sits inside them. No one stands nearby. I check my mirrors. The road behind me is clear. I could back up, turn around, find another route. That would be the smart play. But curiosity, the same damn curiosity that got me into this job, makes me set the brake and step down from my cab. The air feels strange as my boots hit the gravel. Heavier, charged with what feels like the electricity before a storm. The only sound is the tick-tick-tick of my cooling engine. No birds, no insects, no distant traffic noise. I approach the line of vehicles slowly. They're immaculate, like they just rolled off the assembly line. The Bel Air's turquoise and white paint scheme catches the sunlight, impossibly vibrant. I reach out to touch the chrome bumper. My hand passes through it. I stumble back, heart pounding. The cars remained solid-looking, perfectly detailed, but my hand encountered no resistance, like touching a hologram or a projection. The GPS screen in my truck suddenly blares to life, loud enough that I can hear it from outside. Warning. Temporal displacement field detected. Return to vehicle immediately. As if responding to the warning, the air around the cars begins to waver, like heat rising from hot asphalt. The vehicles shimmer, their edges blurring. For a brief moment, I see through them to the road beyond, and to another set of vehicles behind them. Modern cars and trucks, dusty and damaged, arranged in the same formation but somehow more real. I back away, suddenly understanding. These aren't physical blockades. They're echoes, reflections of something that happened here, or will happen, or happened in some other timeline. The black box on my dashboard is now flashing in sync with the GPS warnings. Without conscious thought, I find myself running back to my truck, scrambling into the cab and slamming the door. The moment I'm inside, the phantom vehicles vanish. The road ahead is clear, empty, but the warning on my GPS remains. Temporal displacement, field active, proceed with caution. My hands shake as I release the brake and put the truck in gear. As I drive slowly forward, passing the spot where the vehicles had appeared, the temperature in the cab drops suddenly. My breath fogs in the air, and the radio switches arm by itself, playing Earth Angel by the Penguins, a hit from 1954. The song fades as I continue down the road, the temperature gradually returning to normal. The GPS warning changes. Exiting anomalous zone, resume approved route. The sun touches the horizon as I reach the junction with Highway 118. I have a decision to make: continue south toward Terlingua as planned, or follow the approved route back to Highway 90. After what I just experienced, the choice is clearer. I turn north toward Alpine, back toward the approved route. Whatever is happening in this region, whatever these anomalies are, they're more dangerous than I realized. The rules aren't arbitrary. They're navigational markers through a landscape that's become unpredictable. But I still need to get to Lucia. I call her again. Ray? She sounds nervous. That guy left after I told him you wouldn't be back until tomorrow. Mike came by to check things out. Relief floods through me. Good. Is Mike still there? No. He went to look for the guy. Said he didn't like the sound of him asking questions. She pauses. Ray, what's going on? Mike seemed really concerned when I mentioned this Carlos person. I'm not sure, I admit. Just keep the doors locked until I get there, okay? I should be home in a couple of hours. After we hang up, I notice a missed call from an unknown number. There's a voicemail. I play it on speaker as I drive. Mr. Mendoza. Dr. Abernathy's voice is tight with urgency. Our monitoring systems indicate you attempted to deviate from your approved route and entered a Category 2 restricted zone. We've also detected an unauthorized individual making inquiries about your transportation activities. Return to Alpine Checkpoint immediately for security debriefing. Do not go home. Repeat, do not go home." The message ends. I stare at the darkening road ahead, torn between following instructions and my need to protect my sister. My dosimeter, still clipped to my shirt, catches my eye. The zeros have changed. Now it shows a low number, steadily increasing. I hadn't noticed when it changed. The radio crackles with static, then clears. A voice, not from any station, speaks directly to me. "Driver Mendoza," it says, the tone flat and emotionless. "You have been compromised. Containment protocols are in effect." I recognize the voice. It belongs to the tall figure I glimpsed standing beside Dr. Abernathy. "Your vehicle has been equipped with emergency stabilization measures. Activate them now." The black box on my dashboard pulses with light, the protective cover over the red button now open, though I don't remember opening it. "Who are you?" I demand, knowing somehow that whoever, whatever is speaking can hear me. "That is irrelevant," the voice replies. "What matters is what you have become, a carrier." "A carrier of what?" The radio hisses with static before the voice returns. "Temporal contamination. The anomaly has attached to your bioelectric field. You are bringing it home." The implications hit me like a physical blow. To Lucia. To everyone. The man who came to your home was not one of ours. He was you, from another timeline. A warning. As if to punctuate this impossible statement, my headlights illuminate a figure standing in the middle of the road ahead, a man in a trucker's cap, his face obscured by shadow. I swerve instinctively, nearly running off the road. When I look back, the figure is gone. The voice from the radio continues, emotionless. "Press the button, Driver Mendoza. It will stabilize your field and allow us to locate you." My finger hovers over the red button. Trust has gotten me into this situation, but what choice do I have? As night falls completely over the West Texas desert, I make my decision. I press the red button. For a moment, nothing happens. Then a high-pitched whine fills the cab, building in intensity until my teeth ache. The dashboard lights flicker, and the black box begins to emit a soft blue glow, similar to the stabilization disc from earlier, but stronger, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. A wave of dizziness washes over me. My vision blurs, doubles, then sharpens with unnatural clarity. The road ahead seems to stretch and compress like an accordion. I grip the steering wheel, fighting to keep the truck straight as reality flexes around me. The voice from the radio returns, clearer now. "Field stabilization at 42% and rising. Maintain your current speed, Driver Mendoza." "What's happening to me?" I demand. My voice sounds strange in my own ears, as if I'm speaking underwater. "Your bioelectric field was contaminated during the containment breach. The anomaly attached to you like a parasite." The voice pauses, searching for words. "It is attempting to pull aspects of your quantum signature across timeline boundaries." I shake my head, trying to focus. "Speak English." "You exist in multiple places simultaneously. This is causing timeline instability in your vicinity." As if to illustrate this point, the night sky outside my window briefly flickers to daylight, then back to darkness. In that brief flash of day, I see the landscape has changed, different vegetation, strange structures on the hillsides that don't exist in my reality. The stabilization field from the black box intensifies, and the flickering stops. My dosimeter readings fluctuate wildly before settling on a number higher than before. "Who are you?" I ask the voice. "What are you?" "I am a containment specialist. Like you, I transport things that should not cross boundaries. You're not human. It's not a question. Not in the way you understand humanity. The voice remains emotionless. Your perception limits you to a single timeline, a single progression of cause and effect. My perceptions are broader. The GPS screen updates with a new message. Containment team en route. ETA 17 minutes. 17 minutes. I check the time. 8:43 p.m. If I continue toward Alpine as instructed, I'll meet the containment team before they reach me. If I turn south toward Terlingua now, I might reach Lucia before they can intercept me. But if what the voice says is true, I'm bringing something dangerous home with me. The man at my sister's house, I say. You said he was me? A version of you from a divergent timeline, one where events occurred differently. The voice crackles with static. In his reality, he did not follow the rules. He is trying to prevent your timeline from sharing his fate. What happened in his timeline? The radio emits a sound like feedback before the voice responds. Contamination spread. Localized reality failures escalated. Finally, a cascading temporal collapse occurred. My blood runs cold. Are you saying he caused some kind of disaster? Not intentionally. He was simply the vector. The voice pauses. As you could be. I think of Lucia waiting at home, of Terlingua and the people there, of Mike out looking for a man who shouldn't exist in this world. If I go with your containment team, what happens to me? You will be placed in a specialized containment chamber until the anomalous attachment can be severed from your bioelectric field. The process is not harmful, though temporary discomfort may occur. The careful phrasing sets off alarm bells. And how long does this process take? Silence stretches for several seconds. In most cases, complete separation can be achieved within 72 hours. Most cases? I press. In some instances, the contamination proves resistant to standard protocols. In such scenarios, long-term containment becomes necessary. I'm being offered a choice that's no choice at all: voluntary imprisonment for an indeterminate time, or risk bringing destruction to my home. I think of my sister, already imprisoned by her illness, waiting for treatment that might save her life. Treatment contingent on my cooperation. The road ahead splits, literally. For a moment, I see multiple versions of the highway stretching before me, each slightly different, overlapping like transparent layers. The stabilization field pulsates, and the roads snap back into a single path. My phone rings. Unknown number. I answer hesitantly. Ray? It's me. The voice sends ice through my veins. It's my voice. Carlos? I say, though I know that's not his real name. Listen carefully. My doppelganger's voice is urgent, ragged with exhaustion or fear. They're lying to you. The containment doesn't work. They'll keep you locked up forever, running tests, trying to understand what went wrong. What happened in your timeline? I ask, slowing the truck slightly. Something tells me this conversation is important. I followed the rules perfectly, for months. Then there was a breach, just like yours. The container with the temporal anomaly, the stabilization disk, the decontamination. All the same. His bitter laugh mirrors my own. They told me I was contaminated, that I needed to be contained. And were you? Yes. For 2 years, in a facility under Guadalupe Mountains National Park, they ran tests, tried procedures to separate me from the attachment. Nothing worked. His voice breaks. Meanwhile, Lucia died. The treatment they promised. It never happened. Just another lie to keep me cooperative. My heart sinks. How did you get out? There was an accident. Multiple containment units failed simultaneously. In the chaos, I escaped. He pauses. Ray, the anomalies aren't what they told us. They're not objects or entities from other timelines. They're pieces of people, pieces of us, fragmented across realities. Every time we transport them, we're carrying parts of ourselves that have been shattered by their experiments. The stabilization field flickers, as if responding to his words. The blue glow dims momentarily, then intensifies. Driver Mendoza, the inhuman voice interrupts from the radio. You are being contacted by a temporal echo. Disregard all communications. He's lying, my other self shouts through the phone. The only way to fix this is to bring all the fragments back together. That's what they're afraid of. That we'll become whole again and see what they've done. The contaminated duplicate is attempting to accelerate timeline convergence. The radio voice responds. This will result in catastrophic collapse of local space-time. I'm caught between two versions of truth, neither one trustworthy. The road continues to distort occasionally, reality becoming less stable around me. Ray, my doppelganger says, his voice softening. Go home. See Lucia. I never got to say goodbye. The GPS screen interrupts. Containment team, 7 minutes from intercept. I need to decide, continue north toward the containment team, or turn south toward Terlingua, toward Lucia, toward the path my other self is urging me to take. If what you're saying is true, I tell my doppelganger, then why did the coyotes block the road that night? Why all the strange phenomena around these containers? Those aren't fragments of people. That's how it manifests, he explains. When pieces of human consciousness are separated from their whole, they create echoes, psychic impressions that affect the physical world. The coyotes weren't real animals. They were projections of a fragmented mind trying to communicate, to warn you. It sounds crazy, but no crazier than temporal anomalies or alternative timelines. How do I know you're telling the truth? I demand. Ask me something only you would know. Something you've never told anyone. I think for a moment. The night before I left Terlingua, when I was 18. What did I bury under the old mining equipment behind our house? Without hesitation, he answers, Dad's pocket watch. You were mad about him dying, about Mom following so soon after. You blame the watch for counting down their time. You buried it so deep that not even Lucia knows where it is. My blood runs cold. No one could know that. No one except me. Headlights appear on the road ahead. Multiple vehicles approaching fast. The containment team, I assume. They're almost here, I tell my other self. What happens if I go with them? They'll contain you, study you, try to understand why the fragments are drawn to us specifically. Lucia will get treatment at first. They'll keep that promise temporarily, but eventually, they'll determine that your contamination is permanent. Then the treatments will stop. Budget cuts, they'll say. Program cancellation. The approaching vehicles are close enough now that I can make out their outlines, black SUVs and what looks like a modified ambulance. And if I run? Try to reach Terlingua? They'll chase you. They might even catch you. But if you can reach the place where the fragments of yourself exist across multiple timelines, my home, I realize. Yes, if you can reach Terlingua, there's a chance for reintegration. It won't be pleasant, but it might work. Might? I don't know. I'm trying something that's never been done, but I do know what happens if you surrender. His voice hardens. Nothing good. The containment vehicles are less than half a mile away now. I need to decide. Ray, my doppelganger says, whatever you choose, remember rule number 3. Rule number 3. If you experience mechanical failure, use the emergency phone only. Do not attempt repairs yourself. What does that have to do with? Just remember it." He hangs up. The stabilization field from the black box surges suddenly, filling the cab with blue light. The approaching headlights reflect off it, creating an eerie strobe effect. My dosimeter screams a warning as its reading jumps off the scale. Without conscious thought, my foot presses down on the brake. The truck slows as the containment vehicles approach. They fan out across the road, forming a blockade similar to the phantom cars I saw earlier. A spotlight from the lead vehicle blinds me. A voice booms through a loudspeaker. "Driver Mendoza, stop your vehicle and prepare for emergency decontamination." My hand hovers over the gear shift, north or south, containment or resistance, safety or uncertainty. I think of Lucia, of the rules, of the other me who's trying to piece together a shattered existence. Rule number 3 echoes in my mind. Don't attempt repairs yourself. But what if the only repair possible is the one they're trying to prevent? I make my decision. I slam the truck into reverse, tires screaming against the asphalt as I back away from the containment vehicles. The spotlight follows me, its harsh beam cutting through the blue glow that now fills my cab. I spin the wheel, executing a rapid 3-point turn that leaves my truck facing south toward Terlingua. "Driver Mendoza, stop immediately," the loudspeaker commands. "Contamination levels exceeding safe parameters." I ignore them, shifting into drive and flooring the accelerator. The Peterbilt's engine roars as it surges forward, quickly building speed. In my mirrors, I see the black SUV scrambling to turn around and pursue. The radio crackles to life again. "You are making a serious mistake," the inhuman voice says, now tinged with something that might be concern. "Timeline convergence will cause catastrophic disruption." "Maybe that's what needs to happen," I respond, though I'm not convinced myself. I'm operating on instinct now, a deep-seated feeling that surrendering to containment would be surrendering to something worse than what I'm running toward. The road south to Terlingua is mostly empty at this hour. I push my truck well beyond the 65-mile-per-hour limit from rule number 9, watching the speedometer climb past 80. My phone rings again, Mike this time. "Ray, where the hell are you?" He sounds tense. "There's some weird shit happening in town." "What kind of weird shit?" I ask, checking my mirrors. The headlights of the pursuit vehicles are visible but falling behind. Power fluctuations, strange calls coming into dispatch, people reporting seeing double, objects moving on their own. He pauses. "And that guy, Carlos, found him at the Starlight Theater, except he's gone now, vanished while I was questioning him." My grip tightens on the wheel. "Listen, Mike, I'm coming home, but there might be people following me, government types. Don't let them near Lucia." "Ray, what have you gotten yourself into?" "I'm not sure I even know anymore. Just trust me on this." After hanging up, I notice the stabilization field from the black box is weakening. The blue glow pulses erratically, dimming with each flash. Outside the truck's windows, reality itself seems less stable. Occasional patches of daylight appear in the night sky, like tears in fabric. The road sometimes splits into multiple versions before snapping back. My phone chirps with a text from an unknown number. My other self, I assume. "When you reach Marathon, pull over. Engine trouble." Rule number 3. Marathon is 15 minutes ahead. I don't understand his instruction, but I've come too far to ignore it now. The pursuit vehicles have fallen further behind, now just distant points of light in my mirrors. But as I approach the outskirts of Marathon, something strange happens. My engine coughs, sputters, and the truck begins to lose power. Actual engine trouble, at exactly the right or wrong moment. I guide the dying truck onto the shoulder, just as the engine stalls completely. The stabilization field flickers one last time, then vanishes as the electrical system fails. In the sudden darkness, the Texas night sky seems impossibly vast and clear, stars brilliant above the desert landscape. Rule number 3. If you experience mechanical failure, use the emergency phone only. Do not attempt repairs yourself. The emergency phone. During orientation, we were each given a satellite phone for emergencies, stored in a compartment under the passenger seat. I haven't thought about it since. Never needed it. I retrieve the chunky black satellite phone and power it on. There's only one number programmed into it. I press call. It rings 3 times before connecting. No one speaks, but I can hear breathing. Hello? I say hesitantly. Pull the red wire. It's my voice again, my other self. Under the dashboard, left side. There's a tracking device. Pull the red wire, then the blue one. I reach under the dash, feeling blindly until my fingers touch a small box that doesn't feel like standard equipment. 2 wires extend from it. One red, one blue. How did you know this would happen? I ask as I grip the red wire. Because it happened to me. Same place, same time. They can remotely disable our trucks. He laughs bitterly. The difference is, I didn't know about the tracker. I pull the wires in sequence. Something sparks, and immediately the truck's electrical system comes back online. The engine turns over when I hit the ignition. Now what? I ask. Take Ranch Road 2627 south. It's the next right. Avoid the main highway. They'll have people watching it. I follow his instructions, turning onto a narrow ranch road that winds through the darkness. Without the GPS working, I disconnected it along with the tracker. I have to rely on my knowledge of the area and my doppelganger's guidance. What happens when I reach Terlingua? I ask. You said something about reintegration. The fractures that created the anomalies, that created me, centered around places with emotional significance. Home is the strongest convergence point. His voice sounds strained, as if he's in pain. When enough fragments come together in the right place, there's a chance for reintegration. And then what happens to you? He's silent for a long moment. I don't know. Maybe I cease to exist as a separate entity. Maybe we merge. Maybe something else entirely. The implications sink in. You're risking your existence to fix this. My existence is already a mistake, a temporal fracture that shouldn't have happened. And it's not just about us. The anomalies are growing more frequent, more powerful. The containment is failing. If we don't do something. He doesn't need to finish the thought. I've seen enough to understand the risks. As I drive south, the landscape becomes increasingly unstable. Phantom structures appear alongside the road, buildings that don't exist in my reality, flickering in and out of view. At one point, I pass through a stretch where it's suddenly daytime, a bubble of different time that extends for about 100 yards before returning to night. My phone rings again. Lucia this time. Ray? Her voice trembles. Something's happening. There's someone in the house who looks like you, but wrong somehow. And the walls keep... I don't know how to describe it. Like they're breathing. Fear clutches at my chest. Where are you? In my bedroom. I've locked the door, but I don't think it will matter. He keeps saying he's waiting for you, that everything will make sense when you get here. She sounds on the edge of panic. Ray, I'm scared. I'm less than an hour away. Just stay put. Don't engage with him. I hesitate. And Lucia? If he tries to come in, don't fight him. I don't think he wants to hurt you. What is going on? She demands. I'll explain everything when I get there. I promise. After she hangs up, I push the truck faster, taking curves at dangerous speeds. The road conditions don't help. Reality ripples around me, sometimes changing the surface from asphalt to dirt and back again. I'm less than 30 miles from Terlingua when I see headlights approaching, multiple vehicles moving fast. Not from behind, but ahead, cutting off my route. The containment team must have split up, positioning units to intercept me from multiple directions. I brake hard, skidding to a stop as the vehicles form a roadblock about 200 yards ahead. They've chosen their position well. Steep embankments on both sides make off-roading impossible. The satellite phone rings. My doppelganger again. "They've got the road blocked," I tell him before he can speak. "I know. I can see through your eyes sometimes. The connection is getting stronger as we get closer to convergence." He sounds weaker than before. "There's another way. A ranch access road about 50 yards back on your right. It's not on any maps. It'll take you to Terlingua Creek. Then you can follow that to town." I strain to remember. Mendez Ranch. That road washed out years ago. Not in my timeline. It's intact enough for your truck. I reverse carefully until I spot a gap in the brush, a narrow dirt track that doesn't look like it's been used in decades. No time to hesitate. I turn sharply, the truck barely fitting between the scrub oak trees that line the entrance. The track is rough, forcing me to slow down considerably. The truck bounces and jostles over ruts and rocks. Behind me, I see flashlight beams as the containment team discovers my diversion. "They're following on foot," I report. "Keep going. They won't catch you if you maintain this pace." The landscape becomes increasingly surreal as I near Terlingua. Patches of different realities overlap. In one stretch, the dirt road becomes a paved highway for 50 yards before reverting to dirt. Ghostly structures appear and disappear in the desert. Buildings that might exist in other timelines or might have existed in this one years ago. My dosimeter has stopped working entirely, the display showing impossible symbols instead of numbers. The temperature inside the cab fluctuates wildly, freezing one moment, sweltering the next. "What you're experiencing is timeline bleed-through," my doppelganger explains when I describe it. "The closer we get to convergence, the more unstable the boundaries between realities become." "Is this happening to everyone in the area?" I ask, thinking of Lucia and the rest of Terlingua. "To some extent. But you're the focal point. The effects are strongest around you." The truck emerges from the rough track onto the dried bed of Terlingua Creek. I know this route well. It leads directly to the eastern edge of town, near the old mining ruins. I follow the creek bed, driving faster now on the relatively smooth surface. The lights of Terlingua appear ahead, except they're wrong somehow. Too many lights, arranged in patterns I don't recognize. As I get closer, I see why. I'm seeing multiple versions of Terlingua overlapped, buildings from different timelines occupying the same space. At the edge of town, I pull over and shut off the engine. The night is eerily quiet. No insects, no distant music from the Starlight Theater, no generators humming, just silence. The satellite phone rings one final time. "I can feel you near," my doppelganger says. "We're almost at the convergence point." "What do I do now?" I ask, suddenly afraid of what comes next. "Come home. To your sister's house. Our sister's house. All the fragments are gathering there. The reintegration has already begun." I step down from the truck, my boots crunching on the gravel. The air feels charged, heavy with potential energy. As I start walking toward town, I see something impossible. Footprints appearing in the dust alongside mine, perfectly in sync with my steps. Not following me, but walking with me. Ahead, my sister's small adobe house, glows with an unnatural blue light. The same color as the stabilization field, but far more intense. It pulses like a heartbeat, growing stronger with each beat. Whatever is about to happen, there's no turning back now. I walk toward the light, toward home, toward whatever version of myself awaits me there. 6 months have passed since that night interlingua. The doctors call what happened to me a dissociative episode triggered by stress and sleep deprivation. They have neat explanations for everything. The truck found abandoned at the edge of town. My collapsed state when the sheriff's deputies discovered me in my sister's house. The strange readings from weather instruments across the Big Bend region that night. Science always finds a way to rationalize the impossible. Lucia recovered fully. The experimental treatment worked better than anyone expected. Her cancer went into complete remission after just 2 sessions. The doctors at the El Paso Research Hospital call it a miracle. They don't know what to make of the strange blue tinge that appeared in her blood samples for the first few weeks. Sometimes I catch her watching me carefully, especially when I slip and reference memories that don't fit this timeline. She never asks directly, but I see the questions in her eyes. I remember everything now. All of it. The fragments came together that night, reintegrating into something both more and less than what I was before. I remember being Ray who followed the rules perfectly. I remember being Ray who broke them. I remember being Ray who spent 2 years in containment. I remember dying in at least 3 different ways. They're all me now, these fractured selves from different timelines. Their memories overlap with mine like transparent overlays, sometimes contradicting, sometimes complementing. The Department of Energy never contacted me again. The facility north of Valentine no longer exists, or perhaps never existed in this particular strand of reality. The GPS tracker in my truck is gone, the satellite phone non-functional. Even Mike Thornton claims he never referred me for any government driving job. But I know they're still out there, still transporting things that shouldn't be moved, still containing forces they barely understand. I return to regular trucking, hauling produce and consumer goods across the Southwest. The pay is worse, but I sleep better. Mostly. The rules, though, they haven't left me. I've written them down, modified them based on everything I now know, everything I remember from my other selves. They sit folded in my wallet, a reminder of what happened and what could happen again. Never drive the same route twice in succession. Patterns attract attention. If you experience déjà vu more than once in 24 hours, change your location immediately. Always carry a compass. If the needle spins or points in impossible directions, leave the area. Avoid prolonged conversations with strangers who claim to know you. If electronic devices malfunction simultaneously, do not attempt to fix them. Leave. Keep something from your childhood with you at all times. It anchors you to your primary timeline. If you notice duplicated objects or people, do not acknowledge them directly. Never remain stationary during temporal disturbances, flickering lights, sudden temperature changes, static electricity. If you hear your own voice from any source other than your own mouth, do not respond to it. Should you encounter a version of yourself from another timeline, do not, under any circumstances, make physical contact. I follow these rules religiously now. They keep me centered, keep me from fracturing again. Last week I drove through Marathon and noticed my reflection in a storefront window. It turned its head when I didn't, just slightly, just for a moment. In the distance, I heard coyotes howling in perfect unison. I immediately changed course, heading west instead of south. Some nights, I wake to find blue light seeping from my skin, pulsing gently before fading away. Some mornings, I find notes on my nightstand written in my handwriting with warnings about places to avoid that day. The rules keep me safe. The rules keep reality intact around me. But sometimes, when the West Texas sky stretches endlessly above me and the road unwinds like a promise, I wonder what would happen if I broke them all at once. Maybe someday I'll find out.